What is going on, everybody? The time has finally come to get this tank rescaped and get it brought back up to its former glory. So since I started off from a bare bottom tank, it didn't take much time to get everything pulled out and get to the point where I was able to start setting up the hardscape. I went through a few different iterations before I finally settled on a design I liked. I really wanted to play with having a big area of driftwood towards the right side of the tank, with kind of just some branch work on the left, mainly focusing on the plants on the left. Alright everybody, so the rescape of this tank is officially done. As you can see, the water's still a little bit cloudy. Probably get another water change in there and get it refilled up before I start adding any of the fish back in there. All the beneficial bacteria from the filter and everything was put aside, so the tank is still going to have its cycle. Probably over the course of the next week, I'll do a couple extra water changes in between while monitoring parameters, just to make sure that things stay steady for the fish in there. But the scape is done. I am really happy with it. I really did get a little bit more creative this time with some of the larger pieces of wood towards the right of the tank. I kind of played a little bit with sticking some stones underneath and to raise it up, make it kind of give it a little bit of a higher profile. I didn't really film as much of the process this time around for you guys. There were just too many weird angles to work around, and trying to set up the camera was really taking me out of the scaping process. So I got a few shots here and there, but for the most part it's pretty general. And with the water being so cloudy, there wasn't too much to show during the planting process. But I'll definitely get some more images in there from once the water is cleared up, and we'll definitely update on this tank, see how things are going, see how things are growing in. I did put all the plants back in there. So there's the Reuben sword on the left with the red tiger lotuses right behind it. I did pull out all the young red tiger lotus, or the smaller red tiger lotuses, from the paludarium tank. So those are all back in here. The green kabomba, or Kabomba caroliniana. Yeah, I cannot say that today. The Kabomba caroliniana that was in this tank, I went ahead and trimmed out all the eaten and dying parts of the stems and replanted the tops towards the back behind the wood. So once those start to grow, we'll get those kind of sprouting out and being more visible. And the P. Gai that was in the cobalt tank, kind of holding and growing out in there, is back in the tank towards the center. And I think that plant being back in here mixed with the kabomba towards the back is really going to give it a nice look that I had in this tank in another scape. And I really enjoyed it with that one, and I kind of was missing it, so I decided to put that blend of plants back in here together. One big thing I did do differently this time around with the substrate is it's not dirted this time, it's just pure pool filter sand. And what I did was put root tabs near all the planted areas, but other than that, the substrate is pretty much devoid of nutrients other than whatever fish poop or anything is going to go in there eventually. But also I just didn't see it being necessary to dirt in the entire tank this time around, and I figured I'd try something different. So we will see how that goes. I definitely have a stock of root tabs set aside so I can keep fertilizing this tank, and I'll be doing some water column fertilizing too with some supplemental nutrients there. So the plants will get fed. It's just going to be from a different source than I've been doing for the last few years. So I think that's pretty much it to cover with this tank right now. Let me go ahead and get that water change done, and we'll go ahead and put the fish back in. So everybody is now back in the tank and readjusting to having a tank full of substrate and plants again. It has to have been at least 3 months since this tank has been broken down and waiting to be rescaped. And luckily I finally got the chance to do it. Everything seemed to come together and I am happy with the results. The puffer fish behaved this time around, no fish casualties. And I think that's in part to the fact that I did not fast him as much before the move this time around, since that seemed to kind of put him into a little bit of a trigger, which I still am planning to do a full dedicated video on his little behavior quirks that I've kind of noticed. The Apisto fry, the smallest of the batches, are in the fry container with the Farlowell fry. They are small enough that they're not really going to compete with them or bully them at all. And since they're going to be feeding off different foods, there's no concern with any competition there. Eventually they'll probably be separated again, but for the time being they are in there together where I can keep a close eye on all of them. The breeding pair of Apistos, along with their largest batch of fry, are up in the breeding nets up at the top of the tank. They will stay in there. Hopefully sometime soon I can get them sold or traded off. Since this tank originally wasn't supposed to have Apistos in the first place, I have the pair in the paludarium. That is their tank. Somewhere along the line, their fry got into this tank and ended up spawning 3 or 4 more generations. But I'm kind of putting an end to that at this point in this tank. I wanted to go back to the Bolivian rams, let them be the primary cichlid in this tank. I did also add a pleco cave into this tank for the clown plecos. The 2 females are pretty gravid looking. As I put them back into the tank, I got a good chance to give them a good look over, make sure they were doing all right, since I don't usually regularly see them. So I put in 1 cave where hopefully if they do decide to breed, the male can claim that for them. And kind of unintentionally, but it worked out perfectly, with this scape there is a little cave system under this driftwood, and I can see towards the back of the tank right to the cave, which works out perfectly. I can see if it's being used, see if anything's going on there. But that is it. This tank is now done. All that is left is to let the plants grow, let the fish enjoy it, and for me to sit back and enjoy it too. I will definitely keep you guys updated on the progress with the tank. So we will check back in regularly on it for sure. And definitely stay tuned. There will be upcoming sometime soon the rescapes of Nano Corner. Now that the rescape of this tank is done and the plants that were in the 8-gallon cobalt are out of there, I can really now pay attention to their scapes and what I want to do with those. So definitely stay tuned. Subscribe if you want to see what's going to happen with those tanks. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. And as always, guys, thank you for watching.